Race fans, thank you for joining us for round 3 of the Summer Championship Series here at Atlanta Motorsports Park. I'm John Matthews, your announcer for the day, joined topside by Bill Rigdon. Bill, a beautiful blue sky on tap here for the racing action we're going to have on track.
Yes, sir, John. It may only be June 18th, but summer is on in full force. Here in Georgia, we've been having 90-plus degree temperatures all around the Atlanta metropolitan area. We get back up here in the mountains of North Georgia here at Atlanta Motorsports Park. We get a little bit of a break, 79 degrees right now, but it is beautiful weather out here. Just patchy clouds around, a little bit of cirrus action going up there, but it's going to be a great day for racing here at AMP.
Absolutely. Happy Father's Day weekend to all of you joining us on Facebook Live or on YouTube. At this time, we ask all the people on the facility to please rise if you are able for our invocation, followed by our national anthem. Dear God, we just thank you for your provision, your presence in our life. We just ask for your blessing and your hand of safety upon all of our drivers, crews, and staff here this morning and this afternoon. We just ask that you let us enjoy the motorsports that we love safely. And I raise up this prayer in Jesus' name. Amen. Now we ask that you remain standing for the playing of the Star Spangled Banner. Racing on the track, 2 classes in action today. We have our Spec Miata class as well as our Radical Downforce class. They'll be racing 2 rounds, each race about 20 minutes on the clock. We don't race laps, we race time here. And the lineup in the first round, it was based on qualifying earlier today. The lineup for the second round is based on their finish in the first race that we'll be doing. So, Bill, I know you mentioned the heat that we've been having this week here in Atlanta, in the Atlanta metro area, and I think that's going to be a continued storyline today, even though I'll put this in air quotes for our viewers, it's going to be cooler than it has been.
To a Georgian, cooler is a relative term for sure, John, but I think any degree that you can get off of what we've been having is a blessing, and it's just going to get worse next week, so let's enjoy the good weather here. We've got a breeze cutting across, as you saw during the national anthem. The flags are pretty much starched, and it's a nice, gentle breeze, but it's consistent, and that should help with at least the comfort of spectators. Now, once you get in that cockpit of these Radicals and these Spec Miatas, especially those Radicals which have no top on them, the sun's going to be beating down on you the whole way, but your concentration is keeping that car between the fences and probably not on the heat.
Well, I think any distraction from trying to keep the car inside the fences would really be a detriment. So for the Radical drivers, they at least get some air cooling over them. If they're driving 100 miles an hour, they get 100 miles an hour of cooling into that open cockpit. For our Miata drivers, they are in an enclosed cockpit. A lot of those drivers have the cool suits that'll do something to, it's not going to make it cozy like you're in your home or you have the frosty air conditioning in your car. It just keeps a little bit of cold water flowing over their bodies so that they can hopefully stay more focused on the task at hand.
Well, those are, I mean, having been a long-time race fan, I know that keeping cool in the car has been a challenge through decades. And when they started with full cool suits that had the refrigerated water running through the entire suit, they went to cool hats where you just have one over your head because the brain is where the heat gives off the most. And now I think they wear vests and T-shirts now with the piping in there.
Yeah, they almost look like astronaut suits, where you see the lines going across the up and down their arms across.
And
their
if
body.
you think about it, it's more than just comfort; it's safety. A couple things. So you don't want to get overheated because you need every bit of your concentration to pilot the car at that speed. So there's that. Now, one of the interesting parts about the cool suits is back in the day when they first came out with these with refrigeration systems to keep them cool, is that if it failed, and they often did, you would then have all this hot water running around in your cool suit, which is definitely not the intended result. Nowadays, I believe, it's generally an ice chest or something that's not going to fail. Ice will not fail you.
That's right. So viewers at home, we appreciate you joining us. If you're on Facebook or YouTube, we just ask that you give us a like, a follow, a share. Bill, I'm trying to think of what else. Click the bell for notification. Whatever you have to do on the platform you're on, we appreciate you joining us. Do all the things so that anytime Atlanta Motorsports Park goes live, you'll get notification. You'll get be able to see the content that the staff here puts together.
Just give us a Laurel and hearty handshake.
All right, now we are viewing down from our drone cam, so you can see some of the amenities here at this facility. Bill, I'm pining for that swimming pool that's here.
Oh, boy.
So the showpiece here at Atlanta Motorsports Park is the 16-turn, 1.83-mile road course, but they have a full list of amenities, workout facility, that pool that they have, a putting green, a basketball, as well as a go-kart track, and that's in the center of your screen as you're viewing right now. And they have arrive and drives, they have bring your own cart, they have races on that facility. So it's a wonderful facility. And as the camera comes around, we see one of our north paddock area. And now coming into view on your screen is the, I don't know if they call it Thrill Hill or the Slick Hill. There's a slick track down there. One of the newly, it's not freshly painted. It's they've tweaked it somehow. And you can do driving schools down there to imagine what it's like driving on ice. Right now, Bill, I think I'd like to be just near some ice for the coolness.
Just to envision being in ice right now, right? Well, now, granted, when we were here back, say, I think it was November, and it got pretty cool here, we were longing for these days. So now here we are, 6 months later, longing for the days when it was cooler, so I don't guess we could ever be completely satisfied. But if you ask me, I'd much prefer days like this where I can wear shorts and short sleeves and stay in here. The nice air conditioning technology is a wonderful thing, and watch the racing here. Now that skid pad, though, that is an excellent tool for teaching drivers how to handle adverse conditions, not just slick conditions, but just loss of control in general. So you can induce that loss of control and learn how to regain it, and that's an integral part in the DriveWise program here as well.
So now we're seeing from our tower cam. We do have a great staff in addition to myself and Bill. Our executive producer today is Will Rigdon, producer and director Michaela Denney. Operating our tower cam is Mikey Lane. On hill cam will be Ethan Denney. Our drone Skycam pilot is Jeff Farver. When we get to track officials, our starter in the flag booth today is Brent Landry. Driving our pace car is Rachel Heiler, and our race director is Pete Litzenberger. We did have a view a little earlier, Bill. We have one of the pace cars that we'll have today is a DeLorean.
Yes.
Now, before I looked in beforehand, there's no flux capacitor in there.
No,
but
it's got something more interesting in there, actually.
It is an electric, they've electrified, or I don't know if that's the right term, but it is an electric DeLorean there. So from the outside, it looks just like you're on the set of Back to the Future. The inside, there's no flux capacitor, no Mr. Garbage there for running power, but they've converted it over to be an electric vehicle.
And that in itself is an amazing feat. I imagine, given, I tell you, the way or what I have heard of how DeLoreans handle, is that it can only be an improvement to electrify it. I mean, it was an interesting looking car back in the day, but apparently it handles like a dog, or it did. So the electrification, I imagine, is going to help that tremendously. I know in the acceleration it will. It'll be able to get up to that 88 miles per hour, no problem now, I'm sure.
You'll be able to outrun the bad guys with the RPGs at the back of the van, I imagine. Well, just a little more information about the racetrack today. I had mentioned it's 16 turns, 1.83 miles.
The luxury sorts of technical challenges all around this nearly 2-mile course here at Atlanta Motorsports Park.
With that elevation change, that means drivers are going to be using the brakes quite a lot. Drivers can end up with brake fade by the end of that 20-minute period. With the warm weather today, I expect brakes will be even more of a challenge. As we see on the screen here, down into turn 1. That's the fastest part on the speedway as drivers come down the front straightaway. And turn 1 is a sharp hairpin downhill. We have some angles. When we see it from our hill cam, you really can see how much turn 1 drops down. So drivers are fighting gravity. Today we will get to see the Miatas as they are down in the staging area.
You can't have a conversation about racing here at AMP without bringing up Raiden Nickel, and he pretty much dominates everything that he puts his mind to. It's a lot of fun watching the kid out there running karts as well. That's whenever we do our karts here, he's always one of the favorites in that as well. So he's one of those prodigies that you put him behind a wheel and he's going to get it around in good order.
Yes, the force is strong with that one. So now we do see our Miatas rolling out onto the grid, led by, looks like that DeLorean pace car is leading the way. Bill, I think at some point we need to get into that DeLorean. We can let the pace car driver come up here and announce we're going to be we need to get into that DeLorean. So here's the scheduled starting lineup for our first race today in the Spec Miata class. Jose Garcia in the 00 will be on the pole. He set quick time earlier today in qualifying. Matt White in the 67 will be on the outside pole. Yosef Muhammad lines up inside row number 2 in the number 4 car. And to his outside, Blakely Fabiani from Cumming, Georgia in the number 85. Bill Kring starts inside row number 3 in the number 91 from Smyrna, Georgia. And Bill Miller from Atlanta starts outside row 3 in the number 5 car. These Spec Miatas, when we say Spec, that pretty much means you could drive these out onto the road. They do have a roll cage inside of them. They weigh 2,400 pounds roughly. That's with driver after the race. Beyond that, about 125 horsepower. So these cars don't really have much more. You almost, Bill, couldn't think of cars on the street today that would have less horsepower than these cars.
Well, that's to an advantage that you get into less trouble with less horsepower as well. And as a stepping stone up to the more purpose-built cars, these are a good level to do that. And they're fun, and it's affordable, and it's just a fun way to get out and engage in the sport that you love so much.
They do have 5-speed transmissions, and they are working that gearbox quite a bit. You can see on the screen from our drone cam here, that is turn 11 and then up into 12. There's a blind corner in there caused because they're going uphill and then turn and go downhill. And now we're seeing really the exit of turn 14, a long sweeping left-hander that will lead into 15 and 16 and bring the drivers up onto the front stretch.
It's not until they come out of 16 that we see them back here at our broadcast position. So, again, a hilly change in elevation, terrain, 16 turns here, a lot of challenge for these drivers no matter what type of vehicle they're in.
Field is stacked up 2 by 2 as the pace car pulls down pit lane. So we are scheduled to go 20 minutes here. Starter Brent Landry looks over the field as Garcia and White lead the front row slowly onto the front straightaway. Slowly coming down in perfect formation. And now they wind it up. Green flag is in the air, and we're underway with round 3 of our championship series here at Atlanta Motorsports Park.
As you mentioned, going downhill into the first turn for the first time. See a little bit of smoke, a little bit of contact. Actually, we have one of our entrants.
One is spun around, and 3 cars off the grass just momentarily to try to get things going. Jose Garcia was able to pull clear, as we'll try to get a number on the car that is spun around. We're viewing from our pole cam here, which captured all the action that happened. Jose Garcia sweeps through the carousel, and he's going to charge down into turn 5 as the one car that was spun around got back going. On the track, Jose Garcia leads Yosef Muhammad as they jump on the brakes into turn 6.
So it is going to be Garcia and Muhammad. Behind them will be Matt White. He lost a position on that start. Then coming will be Bill Miller and Bill Kring. So
that's Blakely Fabiani was the one that spun around. And you could see that White, Kring, and Miller all went off track, either into the grass or in the sand trap, to try to avoid Fabiani when he spun. Bill, I recall a race last year where Fabiani, I believe, won the morning race, went out there in the afternoon, and they had contact, and he ended up tearing up a tire. So turn 1 can get tight on the initial start.
Sudden speed changes and tight turns will definitely lend itself to contact and to a little bit of off-road excursions here, as Blake Fabiani found out, unfortunately, although it's early on. We are just underway here. Actually, just now finishing lap 1 as they come to the line now. And it looks like Yusuf Muhammad has taken the lead from Jose Garcia. They're 1-2 now, followed by White, Kring. Fabiani has already gotten around Miller. So Fabiani is on the charge back up toward the front of the field.
Well, at least right now on track, Garcia's ahead by about a car length, and then you have Muhammad, and then it's a good gap back to White as we get the timing and scoring worked out. They use Race Monitor here at Atlanta Motorsports Park, one of the great wonders of racing, Bill, that we get to enjoy electronic live timing and scoring.
The computer wouldn't lie to me, John. Come on. I just read them as they come by. But yep, you are correct, though, as we've got Yusuf Muhammad is behind Garcia now. But Matt White is still in third.
Garcia had some podium finish in the round 2 of the championship series, although his car was fading in the second race. Nobody had anything for Keith Williamson in the competition last month. He was just able to drive away from the other drivers.
You'll see the field heading up that hill and into the turn. If you ever get a chance to take a lap around here, there are some absolutely insane turns here, even at just regular safety speeds that you have to be on the ball for.
Well, and on drone cam, the height that you gain going up into turn 12 really gets washed out. It looks flat on camera,
right,
but the drivers are really heading uphill. As we see Jose Garcia charge down past our vantage point, and from this camera, you can really see how much turn 1 drops down. The driver is hard on the brakes. Really seems like Yosef Muhammad just holding on to Jose Garcia, applying a little bit of pressure to the rear bumper of the Decatur driver.
He's stretching it out a little bit, at least from an eyeball standpoint. It's hard to get an interval here. Something like 0.8 of a second or thereabouts is the interval given, but unfortunately our scoring is a bit, is it showing up? Yeah, it's showing up the same way on the monitor there. They've actually got Matt White in the lead, but it is Jose Garcia.
That might be the best lap times that you're seeing on screen compared to place on the track. But you can really see that 67 of Matt White, he is reeling in the 2 leaders after he had that trouble on the initial start out into the grass. I think we're going to see a good battle by the end of the 20-minute period.
And a good call, John Matthews, as I hit the podium icon there. Now I've got the starting or the running order. So that's who ran the best lap. That last lap was Matt White. But, yes, it's Garcia, Muhammad, White, Kring, Fabiani, and Miller. So, yeah, but Blake did in fact get 1 position back after his starting first turn misfortune.
And it looks like Blake Fabiani and Bill Miller have pulled off the track. I do see Miller's car on the pit road with the hood up, so I don't know what kind of damage he sustained. I don't see Fabiani's car, but he is. There's Fabiani as well, as our leaders once again flash under the start. What we see here at turn 11 and then uphill into turn 12.
Well, in the course of any race, the first thing is to survive the first turn and the first lap. The second thing is to settle in, see what your car is doing, and prepare for the end. And then when we get to that final stage, say the final third, that's when you tighten the chin strap in the harness and go after it. So right now it looks like they're kind of in maintenance stage, as it's going to be a 3-car race, with Garcia, Mohammed, and White. We are about 6 minutes, 6.5 minutes in now, so we're not even halfway yet. So right now these guys are just kind of got to get the lay of the land as Garcia stretches it out a little bit more coming by here. He has a 1.2 second advantage now over Mohammed.
And we can really see White starting to apply some pressure to Mohammed. We'll have to see if White will be able to make a pass. Passing can be difficult here, but at the same time, if drivers are not hitting their marks, it can be quite easy to capitalize on a mistake. As the drivers swing around our carousel, that long turn 4 complex, you can see most drivers right down on the inside curb, and then they head downhill through turn 5, and they will be hard on the brakes right here to set up for turn 6. And then they will sweep wide down the straightaway. You see the curbs there that the drivers are over. You can get too far over those curbs, and if you do, I think if you get all 4 wheels over, you might be getting a call from the race director that you might have to do a pass-through penalty. So drivers can't sweep all the way out on that asphalt. They have to at least keep a couple wheels on the inside of those blue and white curbs.
7 3/4 minutes into this 20-minute first feature. And the running order still the same. Garcia, Mohammed, White, and Kring. As we said before, Fabiani and Miller running into misfortune in that first turn. And it's funny, you called it right at the beginning about brakes. And one thing is getting too much heat in the brakes. Another thing is not having enough heat in the brakes when you try to go and make that first. The tightest corners here are 1 and 6. And we have the fortune of having them both right in front of us. Fun to watch them go through as the field comes back by, and it looks like they're kind of stabilized as Mohammed's actually closed in a little bit, now 6/10 behind Garcia, and there you go. It's a matter of hitting your marks, and if you don't, you're going to pay the price, give up some of your advantage.
Now for the drivers in this race, Bill, you were saying they need to maintain their equipment just in this race, but there's a second race coming up later today, so drivers don't want to abuse the engine or the brakes or damage any of the car. They will be coming out for another 20-minute segment. So I would say for White, if he can just get by Mohammed, he would be right up on the front row for the start of the second feature, which would be an ideal spot for him. So he doesn't need to win this race. If he's in second, he'll have that front row starting spot as they drive down the back straightaway. Once again, Bill, it just does seem like they've equalized, maybe just putting in some laps and getting some time right now.
It's interesting watching White going into 6th that last time. He was a little bit later on the brakes than Muhammad, so he may be looking at positioning himself at least for a runner-up spot to get that front row, as you said. We'll find out as they come back around how they are doing interval-wise, but I think it's tightening up front 1 to 3, period. They're starting to get into that back half of this race now as we are about 20 seconds from halfway in this 20-minute first feature here for the Spec Miatas.
So Mohammed in the middle there in that signature blue car, a lot easier to identify his car, where Garcia is silver with black, and then White's car is a purely silver design. Now we see from our pole cam, which gets a great view of turn 1, you can see just how downhill the entire turn is. After they come off that, they are back uphill again through turns 2 and 3, and then they're back into this carousel. And now once again we see the drivers mostly hugging the curb, although they sweep a little bit wide through the middle of that. White definitely clinging to the bottom the whole way around. So now we see them heading downhill into that important turn 6 braking zone.
Well, Matt White seems to have a visible advantage coming out of 1 and coming out of 6 as he seems to tighten it up after each one of those, but then Muhammad's able to stretch it back out over the remaining 10 turns before they come back down to the start-finish line. So it's just a matter of who is faster in what section of the track and what you can do with that.
Just to give you an idea, best lap time so far in this race, Matt White did have a 1:37-second lap. And I'm just going to look at my speed chart. 1:37 seconds would work out to 61 miles an hour with 16 turns trying to slow you down through that. So that may not sound quick to hear 60 miles an hour, but Bill, when we see them shoot by our vantage point down the front straightaway, they are really moving these little Miatas out there. Actually, I might have done my math wrong. 1:30, a minute 37 would be 97 seconds. So they're up closer to 67 miles an hour, which is all the more impressive as we see the drivers getting real close down into turn one again, and they have closed to within a car length of each other, so just about have the blanket out there. Matt White almost looking to make a move up into turn two to the inside of Muhammad.
He's coming out of turn one really well, and he's making a run on Muhammad, but Muhammad's getting up the hill a little bit better, but as they go through the carousel, as you look up as they disappear behind the tank for a moment and come out of the carousel, Garcia's opened it up a little bit, but it's starting to be a battle there between White and Muhammad. Let's see what happens. 6 now.
Yeah, the drivers are cleanly through there. You can see them sweep out wide. Now they'll go down our back straightaway, which actually has slight kinks in it for 7, 8, and 9. And the drivers will be back on the brakes into the left-hand turn 10. And there you can see our hill with the U.S. flag on it. That's where one of our cameras is positioned. Drivers take a couple of right-hand turns through 11, sharply uphill to 12. And we don't have a camera vantage point for it, but for the drivers, when they enter turn 13, it is a blind corner. You actually you crest the hill, drop downhill as you turn left. And it can be a harrowing experience when you're at speed as fast as you can go, and suddenly all you see in front of you is sky.
It is scary. I've done it on a simulator, and it's scary, even simulated, because this is one of those where you have to learn the track to know where that asphalt is going when you hit that curve. Now it looks like that Garcia's opened it up a little bit more, but the second and third still a battle as White challenges Muhammad.
So they'll head back up the hill through 2 and 3. One of the amenities that we can see in the background when the drivers go through that section, Bill, the new condos that they are developing here. What a wonderful way, a wonderful addition to Atlanta Motorsports Park here. We'll talk more about those through the day, but just one of the many amenities that they have added over the last 10 years. If you're listening right now, if you're a member of Atlanta Motorsports Park, there's a big party going on here tonight, a 10-year anniversary celebration. I see some of the things setting up for it. I don't think you will want to miss it. So if you're a member, make plans to be here just outside of Dawsonville for a big member social this evening.
Should be a wingding. William tells me that they're going to have quite the party going on, so it's going to be an exciting time start to finish here at Atlanta Motorsports Park.
They do some drifting, they do autocross, and I believe this time they're calling it watercross, where they're going to do autocross type racing on the slick track, on the skid pad out there, which should be a real blast. That's one of those I'm hoping they let the announcers get out there, and not in my own car, of course, but, you know, let me take somebody else's car out there. Maybe our producer will let me take his car out there.
I still I have the vision of the video of William taking his grandmother out on the skid pad and watching her as he loves to terrify people anyway, just in all sorts. And he's going to be a dad, so that's even more terrifying right there.
Yeah, well, so happy Father's Day weekend to all the fathers that are joining our stream. As you had mentioned, Will is an expectant father, and obviously, Bill, Will's your son, so happy Father's Day to you as well.
Thank you very much. Or condolences, if anybody who knows William might say.
All right, so
I hope he doesn't go back and listen to this.
Our drivers once again come around that carousel, and you can see that Garcia stretched his lead a little bit down into the braking zone in turn 6. So at this point in the race, we are 11 minutes in, if I'm looking at the right thing. No, we're 15 minutes in. So this is the point where maybe the brakes start to fade a little bit. Garcia has just been consistent as we see White draw right up to the rear bumper of Muhammad heading down into turn number 10.
Well, Muhammad locked the brakes up going into turn number 6, and so that was definitely hindered his ability to slow down properly, and it looks like White's taking advantage of that. Now, whether catching is one thing and passing is another, I think I say that every time I'm here. But that's what is in hand for Matt White. Again, you have your push. You can push and you push, and all of a sudden the equipment says you got to give me a break. And so they have to relax, cool the brakes a little bit, maybe wait a lap or two, and you'll see them spread back out, and then you make another run. And I think that's what's going on here. But time is running out. Yeah, we are down to 3.5 minutes to go in this one.
With Muhammad locking up those brakes, the last time when we were here for round number 2, one of the Miata drivers locked up the brakes early, I believe going into turn 6. And then they went down into turn 1 and locked him up for a very long time, basically flat spotted the tire. So here we see White applying some pressure, looks to the inside briefly of Muhammad. They're going to battle up to turn number 2. White has a run. He's going to stick a bumper right beside him, so they're going to draw door to door, but a little bit of a squeeze play there. Muhammad, for the moment, holds on to that second place spot.
He had him in 2, but then 3 goes the other direction, and he was on the outside suddenly. But he's giving him a look. Let's see if Muhammad can handle turn 6 a little better than he did the last time by. As Garcia comes through.
Oh, big lock up there. Yeah,
Yep.
really locked up that brake, Bill. You can see that smoke, and that's going to let White get a run down this back straightaway. Bill, as I had just mentioned, once you lock up the brakes and you kind of flat spot the tire a little bit, it gets worse and worse through the race. So let's see how that impacts Muhammad. Drivers in the past have flat spotted a tire and then they get a tremendous vibration in the car, which just upsets the handling. So for now, Muhammad's just hoping to hold on for a couple more minutes here as Garcia pulls away into the distance in first place.
So with 2 minutes and 15 seconds to go, will this be white flag this next time by? What's our lap times looking
At
like?
1:37, they probably won't. We'll keep an eye on Brent Landry in the starter's box.
So they may have another one after that then. Let's see as they, once they come out of 16 and back into view here, we'll see as so here comes Garcia down and nope, we're going to have a couple more.
Yeah, so at least 2 more times. Let's see how Muhammad does. You can really see how much turn 1 drops there. Muhammad ducks to the inside almost to cover the passing lane. And I don't see any smoke that time, but White rolls right through the center of that corner. Let's see if he can get the run. It doesn't appear he did this time. So Muhammad was a little smoother through turn number 1 on this lap.
He's been able to survive those last 2 miscues going into 6. Let's see if he can do the same this time. Will he be a little more conservative, and will that give White an opportunity to get around him here with less than 2 laps to go?
Well, White might be tired of seeing. Let's see what happens in the braking zone. Little bit more smoke, and now Muhammad sweeps out wide, and that opens the door for White. So Matt White seizes the opportunity, moves up into the second spot, which is going to be so important later today. That would start him up on the front row.
Patience is key in racing. Very good patience. He put sufficient pressure on Muhammad to force that mistake, but he saw it coming 3 laps in a row now as the field will be coming around. The next time they come around, it should be the white flag because we only have 37 seconds left in the timing.
Well, so 3 laps in a row, Muhammad locked up that right front going into turn 6. So I imagine if we got down there after the race, we'd probably see a big old flat spot on the tires that they run here.
Or 3 big old flat spots.
Garcia will be able to hopefully savor a checkered flag here this morning.
And let's give a shout out to Bill Kring. He's hanging in there as he comes through 6 as well. He'll garner a 4th place finish here, which will start him on the 2nd row for the next feature.
I'd look down our pit road. Our other drivers have pulled behind into the paddock area, so hopefully Fabiani and Miller will be able to make some repairs and be able to join their competitors for the 2nd race this afternoon. So now we will watch as our leaders will appear from the woods, and there they are. Jose Garcia has done just enough today to hold off Matt White, so he charges down the front straightaway. Jose Garcia takes the win in the first race of our Spec Miata class. Matt White 2nd, and then Yosef Muhammad in that blue number 4 comes home in 3rd. And we'll just watch. There's one more car, as you had mentioned, Bill Kring on track. And now he comes down the front straightaway, and he takes the checkered flag. So,
well, I'm pretty sure that Garcia didn't have it all the way to the floorboard that last lap, but it's worth noting that Matt White
flag proudly waving in that breeze, Bill, that you had talked about. It is a lovely breeze out there, even though it's warm, not as warm as it has been some of the days earlier this week, but that breeze really helps quite a bit. So our Miata drivers will head to the paddock, maybe make some adjustments, refuel the cars. They'll be racing later this afternoon when I can guarantee you temperatures will be hotter.
Well, that was a fun 20 minutes. We had an excellent battle, especially there for second, that was only resolved on the next to last lap. So it's quite a competitive race here in the Spec Miata division, and we will hope to see more of the same when they come out again a little bit later in today's program.
So our drivers do come down through pit road. They will need to roll over the scales. 2,400 pounds is the minimum weight for these cars. 2,400 pounds. They are just 125 horsepower engines, roughly. A lot of stock components in there. Really makes it fun for the drivers, and yet they're able to keep it economical. So officials are just looking over Garcia. I believe I see a thumbs up there. So round number 1 officially goes to the Decatur, Georgia driver. So now we see Matt White roll up to the scales. They're just going to make sure everything is legit. Officially, Jose Garcia won that race by 0.368 seconds, so he really clamped down on that last lap, cutting into the lead of Garcia. Both those drivers will start on the front row of the second race later this afternoon. Looks like everything was okay for White, as the rest of our competitors will roll up onto the scales. Fastest lap in that race was by Matt White, 1 minute 37 seconds, .667. So once again, on the speed chart, that's going to work out to about 67.5 miles an hour, which is pretty quick given that you have 16 turns between you and stomping on the gas around here at this facility. Once again, we are at Atlanta Motorsports Park. We thank you for joining us. Attention on the pit lane. Downforce cars. Grid is open. Grid is open for the downforce cars.
We kind of pulling double duty here, doing the PA announcements as well. So do we want to remind our, we need to make snack bar announcements or anything like that? I think
we also give sound financial planning as well at some point today.
When I was growing up, I remember the track announcer always urging you to go get one of those delicious Chick-fil-A sandwiches.
Yeah.
But I remember they were always delicious, and those are the best kind.
Well, I'm gonna make a call up, maybe if our tower cam, Mr. Mikey, if he'll head on over and just check out the go-kart track that we have over there. That's one of we see the carts going around. They do arrive and drives here, so if you're ever just sitting at home and say, I want that sensation of speed, the kart track at Atlanta Motorsports Park is another challenging facility. I can tell you what's on that track right now, Bill. Those aren't the arrive and drives. Those are some serious high-end, and I can tell from the sizes, we have adults as well as some kids out there. Don't know what speed those are, but you can, on the arrive and drive carts, top out at 55 miles an hour. Some of those cars over there, I have a feeling they're getting into the mid-70s over there.
And that layout there for the carts is no less challenging than the one here for the main track. It's got quite a few interesting little ups and downs and lefts and rights, elevation changes as well. There's one monstrous hill that you have to go up and then come back down into a 90-degree turn, which is a whole lot of fun to watch when you have about, 14 teenagers on go-karts going into it, as we do during our competition weekends.
You're right. That is turn 2. So drivers come off turn 1, crest a hill, drop 3 stories down into turn 2, which is a U-turn hairpin, and then they're right back up the hill. It's interesting when the shifter cars are out there, they just zip right up that hill.
Oh, yeah.
But when it's the LO206 class, which are really just one-gear cars, you can really see them lumber and lug up that hill as they've lost RPM.
They scoot their bodies to urge the cart up the hill.
Like an old bobsled.
Exactly. But the competition is something else with these carts as well.
All right, now on screen we see our Radicals rolling down to the grid, and they will be on track shortly. Radical cars, real fun machines. They're about 1,400 pounds, almost look like a smaller version of a Daytona prototype or a Le Mans prototype. Drivers are in an open cockpit, so they'll be enjoying some natural cooling as they drive through. These cars have more horsepower than we saw in our Miata, maybe 140 or more horsepower. They are rear-engined automobiles, and they, unlike the Miatas, these have, button or paddle shifters in there. They have a clutch, but they don't need to use the clutch. They can just do push-button shifting up through the gearbox. I believe it's a 6-speed sequential transmission.
Well, I am informed that the drivers missed the grid call, so they are going to start in the order that they come out on the track. So what you see is what you are getting here. We can tell you who's in the race, but we can't at the moment tell you what order they're in.
Well, here's what the scheduled lineup would have been. Denver Liebenau in the number 65 had the quick time earlier in qualifying, 1 minute 20 seconds. Second quick, number 93, Raiden Nickel, a name we mentioned earlier, from Houston, Georgia. Chris Hune in the number 53 had the third quick time. Winner in round 1, winner in round number 2. Kevin Clifford, fourth quick. He's joining us from Stockbridge in the 79. Barry Davidson in the 57 from Gainesville would be scheduled to line up inside row number 3. And to his outside, Philip Adler from Kennesaw in the number 76. The 139 of Andrew Nagy is scheduled to start inside row number 4 with William Layton alongside. Paul Lafadano and Reed Paul would make up our 5th row. We were scheduled to have 10 cars, but Bill, as you had said, drivers missed the grid. So the penalty for that is drivers start in the order that they made it into the grid. So announcers don't love this because it scrambles everything that we're set for, but this could create a lot of excitement for you, the viewer at home.
Well, we can call it for you as they come by here. I'll call you the numbers if you want to look them up, and we can tell you who's who.
Sometimes they get a second pace lap, so we may get
there are 2 pace laps for this run. I was informed.
We'll get to see that DeLorean sweep right in front of our vantage point. One of the unique cars that you see here at Atlanta Motorsports Park, as we're having a social this evening, that big 10-year anniversary celebration, a DeLorean just scratches the surface on the automotive machines that you'll see on a typical night.
Oh, yeah.
McLarens, Audis, maybe a Lamborghini or a Ferrari, as well as you see some of the high-end Subarus that are doing well in the autocross, electric vehicles. So we have a Tesla. Now we're looking at the lineup.
We've got 53 and then 79, and we were told incorrectly.
Green flag's out. Chris Hune and Kevin Clifford were on the front row of that, and they're going to wind their way down through turn 1, let the chaos ensue as us announcers don't know what exactly is going on, but you can see the drivers much quicker pace than those Miatas. They'll do about a 15-second quicker lap time. I believe it's Chris Hune sweeping through the carousel who's in the lead, and they're side by side behind him. That's tough sledding, Bill.
So as they came by the line, it was Hune, Clifford, and Nickel. And as they come by us here now, coming out of 6, it is Hune.
It's Hune, then Nickel, and then Clifford are your top 3.
Then comes Layton. And behind them were Davison, Nagy, Ifildano, and Liebenau. Let's see who. I don't think Liebenau, Adler, or Paul has started, so we have 7. I believe we've got 7 cars on the track right now, if timing and scoring is to be believed here, as they should. Here they come out of the woods. And coming around through 15, they'll approach our position right now, flying out of 16 and coming down to the line.
Hune, Nickel, and Clifford, your top 3.
Davison, Layton, Nagy, and Ifildano.
So Hune, an accomplished driver here this season in our Radical Downforce class. Raiden Nickel, a driver who's had a lot of success on the kart track. Winner many times last season in the Spec Miata class. I was talking with his father before the race today when we had round number 2 here.
Ifildano having trouble in turn number 1.
He's ground to a halt there. Raiden Nickel, when we had round number 2, was out at a different event and won that event, and he was at Road Atlanta last weekend and won that in Spec Miata. So a lot of success in Spec Miata. He's trying his hand in the Radicals here, trying to build his portfolio of experience, so to speak, at Atlanta Motorsports Park.
Sounds good to me. As Paul Ifildano was able to keep it moving, and he chugs through the carousel, though at a reduced pace, it looks like. We'll see if he stays on track or if he's going to need to come to the attention of his crew next time by. Again, this race is also a 20-minute jobby, and we are 2 minutes in, almost 3.
All right, two exciting minutes already. There are actually a few different cars out on the track in our in these downforce cars. Chris Hune is driving what's called an SR3, but Raiden Nickel is driving an SR1. At quick glance, they look the same. When you get up close, you do start to see some differences, and there's engine differences in them as well. Now, what I find interesting, Bill, you often think of racing, and of course they're running slicks. These Radicals are actually running groove tires out there, so they're not. I wouldn't call them a street tire, but they're definitely not a pure racing slick.
But I tell you, I imagine you could use every bit of grip going through these corners with those. So a groove tire would be a little bit more of a challenge, although the cooling would be better on them, I would imagine. Yeah. And of course, if you had any kind of moisture on the track, you'd definitely want grooves on the tire. But here, I don't know that we're going to see much at all. Whatever would come down would evaporate pretty quickly.
Yeah. Down in my notes, I have that these cars are capable of 0 to 60 seconds or 0 to 60 miles an hour in 2.7 seconds. So these are quick cars out there. They can move up through that gearbox quite quickly.
That's amusement park fast right there, yeah. Acceleration-wise. As we come down to the line, it looks like, let's see, Nickel, is he closing in on Hune? A 1.67 second advantage right now. From a visual standpoint, it looks like he might be closing. We'll see the next time by when we can get an accurate interval between the two. But Kevin Clifford trying not to lose contact with those front two as they all go through the carousel. And it looks like Hune is actually going to be coming down on Ifildano, who had trouble on that second lap.
Down in the pit area, I see that Andrew Nagy has pulled his 139 in to get some attention from the Primal tech staff here. So it looks like Nagy's first race is done. Yeah, he's pulling off his gloves. I imagine we'll see him stepping out of that 139 machine soon. As can't tell what happened there. It almost looks like they're looking to take some screws off and take off, I'll call it the hood, not the engine compartment, but up in the front bay. So maybe some sort of suspension issue on Nagy's Radical.
The bonnet.
Once again, out front, Chris Hune continues to lead. Two-time winner this season. He's won round number 1, round number 2. He's looking to go 3 for 3 today. Where the drivers finish in this race, as we see Hune go by, where they finish in this race will determine their lineup in the second race, provided that they make the grid, I guess, Bill. We have to put that little asterisk into the conversation.
Yes. But it now looks like Hune
as we have one that's gone off the track down into turn 1. I see some dust and sand up. I can't get a number on that.
Did we lose Nickel? No, let's see who comes by now. I'm looking at the top 3.
Well, we've just heard that it's Chris Hune that went off into the sand over there, so our leader missed the turn. And that hands the lead to Raiden Nicholas. Now we see the 93 come around. So high drama here in round number 1. Let's see, that would hand second to Kevin Clifford with Barry Davidson a close third. Well, Bill, I can see some local yellows out on the course here.
Oh, let's see what happened on replay here.
Yeah, so we're going to go to the replay. Seemed like it would have been a normal entry for Hune.
Locked him up,
Looked
turned
like,
it around.
Looked like the rear's almost locked up on that. So you got nose heavy. And again, that's the hardest braking spot on the track. They're downhill. And it looked like that left rear locked up, and then the car just snapped around on him.
It shows you the importance of maintaining control
At all
and
times.
having that feather touch on that brake. You can't do it too hard. You can't do it too soft, or you'll go into that gravel trap.
So we're not under a local. We're under a full course caution as one of these safety vehicles is out on the track.
So we let the leaders come by first and get the whole field by, and then we will put a full course caution out. So the yellow is waving.
Yeah, so Brent Landry in the starter stand is actively waving the yellow flag, and the pace car is back out. So Rachel Heiler is driving the DeLorean, slowing things down. Raiden Nickel leads the parade, so you can see that Hune's car is still at a stop in that sand trap. Bill, that can be a harrowing moment there when a car goes off into that trap. The trap's designed to catch the car so they don't, just slide across something and then go into the wall. It looks like that did its job. Let's hope that Hune is okay.
They're getting out there with the toe strap. That should get him off or back onto the asphalt pretty soon here. We'll see once they get him out of the marbles if he can resume.
The blower is going down as well. I can imagine that some debris might have been showered up onto the track. You wouldn't want to be going through that corner and have sand or gravel between you and a firm grip of your tires on the asphalt. So once again, we can see the yellow flag out as our track officials tend to Chris Hune in the number 53 Radical.
That's an unusual thing to see the leader take himself out like that or have an issue. That unforced error, shall we say, unless there was a mechanical issue with that.
You can see in the background of this camera shot just one of the views of the gorgeous North Georgia mountains here. So we're in Dawsonville, which is located about an hour north of Atlanta, Georgia. I tell you what, race fans, we don't know where you're joining us from. If you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, why don't you head down in the comments. Let us know where you're watching from at this time. We've heard in our go-karting track that there's families that watch from Ireland, supporting some family members. And maybe, Bill, the member of our announced crew who is not here today, Charles Head, one of our regulars, he is on vacation over in Europe. So, Charles, if you're watching, we miss you and look forward to seeing you for round number 4.
He's chatting somebody up. I know right now Charles is having a conversation with some stranger because he never met one. So they have pulled Hune out of the trap, and it looks like he's back underway, squirting a little bit of that the gravel out from under him or whatever. See a little bit of a brown spray coming off as he gets that all shaken out. Looks like he's back underway and just locked him up, and that turned it right around. Yeah, with rear braking, it's really easy to snap that back end around.
Well, and then with that sand trap, you can get stuck in there. We're basically, this almost like snow, you can get somewhat high-centered in there. So we did see Chris Hune go past our vantage point. The car looked okay, Bill. It looked like he still had some speed. We'll have to see if he pulls down into the pit area or if he might continue with the race here. So we had just talked about today is round number 3. Okay.
As we watch Chris Hune coming down the front straightaway, he's sticking in there. He's going to get his money's worth out of this and catch back up with the field. He'll be, I believe, 2 laps. Let's look at the scoring now. Has him actually got him 1 lap. He's on lap 6, or finished 6, whereas Nichols finished 7. Did he just lose 1 lap on that?
He might have lost a lap by the time safety officials came and got him up. Don't count out Hune, though.
No.
He's a fast driver. I mean, he clearly got up to the front. An unexpected error, though. Hune is normally very smooth around this track. So we see our pace car DeLorean just going up through turn number 12 with 4 cars behind. And then from our vantage point, we can see 3 more drivers just waiting to catch up. They don't want drivers doing incredible speeds since we are under a full course caution here. But it looks like maybe this time, I look down at our starters box, I think we're going to get restarted this time around.
We see those last 3 going up the hill into that blind corner we've been talking about. And we're going to go green this time by. We'll be under a full course green, and here comes Rachel Heiler in the DeLorean, the electrified DeLorean pace car. She pulls off.
And we have to say electrified by batteries, not by plutonium. How many gigawatts there? 1.21 gigawatts. So Ryden Nickel leads the parade slowly down the front straightaway. And we can see Kevin Clifford and Barry Davidson right behind him. Now you can see him winding up speed. Green flags out, and we're back underway.
And look at Barry Davidson immediately making a move for second place as they just got across the line, started to make the move, not able to do anything with it.
Clifford closed the door, and now we can see in the back of the pack battle for 4th, although we can't tell if that is Chris Hune. He's scored a lap down. He might just be trying to get some quick laps in here, some practice for later. But for now, Ryden Nickel leads Kevin Clifford and Barry Davidson through the carousel, and now they're headed back down to turn 6.
Yeah, I believe Hune is just going to make his way to the top 3 and get around them and just see what he can do. So there goes Nickel, and then comes Clifford. That is Hune, is going to be the 4th car on the track, but of course he is a lap down.
Well, there's no lucky dog here at AMP. At this rate, though, Hune may do it the old-fashioned way, back when drivers had to make up a lap by actually just passing the leader. We may see that happen, but really at this point, Hune is scored in 6th place, which should mean he'll start inside outside row 3.
Local boy here once did that at Talladega. Made up an entire lap under green. It was an absolutely amazing thing back in the
Bill
day.
Elliott, I thought he made up 2 laps, but one of them was the old-fashioned way, and the other he got past, and then a caution came out.
But it was 2. I mean, just absolutely at Talladega, no less, under green, doing that.
Yeah, that was when Elliott in the mid-'80s and that number 9 Ford Thunderbird was just about unstoppable on the super speedways.
Those are Ernie Elliott engines. Anyway, so here we go. Let's see. Did Hune manage to get around everybody? It looks like he has, as he's coming. I believe he's coming through the carousel.
Well, Ryden Nickel continues to lead on that lap. Clifford's still ahead of Davidson. And then I think that's where we see Hune applying some heavy pressure to Davidson. So we get to see down into turn number 6. It is Ryden Nickel coming off the corner leading, and then the 79 of Kevin Clifford, and then 2 cars, 57 and 53. So for now, Barry Davidson is holding off Hune, although Hune is 1 lap down. So that's not a battle for position on the track.
I make this remark every time we run these radicals, but they're all white. They all look exactly alike. You have to really peer for the numbers on these. So
it makes it a headache for the announcers up here in the booth.
And that's what's important, is to make it easy for the announcers. If I can't impart anything else on you, is that it's important for the announcers to have it easy. I've called football games where the visiting team will have
2 number 5s out there?
No, white jerseys with like light blue numbers and things you can't read. Is absolutely infuriating. But these mostly, these are going to be your stock or the rental cars, and they're all going to look alike. I've suggested maybe putting a nose piece or a piece of tape or something just to give them a different color.
They used to do that, I think, in Formula One or in kart. They used to have a lot of those cars where you'd have team cars, and the only difference might be the little loop above the car. On one car it was red, and on the other was white. And that was really the only way you could tell whether maybe it was a Nigel Mansell or an Ayrton Senna out there.
Well, it's important when they come down pit road. You got to know which car is yours coming down. I remember specifically, because goes way back, but in the 70s when the Petties were running 2 cars, and Pete Hamilton ran a Superbird one year, and they painted the nose of that one red so that when he came down pit road, they know it was Hamilton coming and not Petty. But yeah, you got to make some kind of differentiation. Now, of course, here there are no live pit stops, so that really doesn't matter. As we are watching them come by, who's coming by? So that's F. O'Donnell, our 5th place runner. And we'll see if Hewen has made any progress, at least towards getting that lap back.
Doesn't look like it on screen here. It seems like Clifford has a safe lead for the moment over Barry Davidson, and then Hewen maybe just content now to just put some laps in and log some time, although we see him get inside and lock it up going into turn 1. So nervous moments there. Chris Hewen again got to the inside. Bill, I could see him lock up one of the tires, and he started fishtailing on entrance to turn 1. So he is struggling with that difficult corner this morning.
Kept it straight this time, at least. So
he kept it he kept it on the pavement.
So that may be something they need to look at once we get in the break in between. But boy, that's got to be scary, because that's the fastest part of the track going to the slowest part of the track, and which is the whole point of a technical track, is to have transitions like that.
Well, it might be. We'll have to talk to Chris when we're on the lunch break. He's a big guy. He's 6'4". Maybe he's got the big boot stomping just a little too hard on the brake pedal this morning. Or, I don't know, maybe we can find out if these drivers have a brake bias. Maybe he has too much in the front or too little in the front, and that's causing some issues in that corner. But some harrowing moments for the number 53 automobile this morning. As our camera shows Ryden Nickel just sweeping through our turn 15-16 complex, and he streaks down the front straightaway to put another lap on the board. We should be getting close to seeing a white flag, but not this time around. Nickel's lead is 6.5 seconds over Clifford, and then almost 2 seconds back to Barry Davidson.
So he just took off once he got the lead. It's a shame we couldn't see what he could have done with Hewen. Speaking of which, he's coming down pit road now. Looks like his race will be over, or is that
it almost looks like a drive-through.
Yeah.
He's having one of those days that you don't write home about kind of thing. So tough day for Chris Hewen, just seems to keep getting worse and worse. But on screen, we're seeing that battle for second as the 79 of Kevin Clifford, for the moment, holding off Barry Davidson. Bill, it really did seem like Davidson had a run on that restart. Clifford slammed the door, and from there, he's just been able to just stay away and just say smooth enough. But neither driver has anything for young Ryden Nickel.
I would like to have seen what he could have done before Hewen came down in front of us, what he could have done with him, and we will have that opportunity. In fact, Hewen's going to be near the back of the field for the start of the next feature, so that should be interesting to see who he can get around when they run again. Now here's the white flag. Ryden Nickel getting the white flag heading into turn number 1, so we will run this one out for another minute or so as they get around. Ryden Nickel, the man to beat, and he has shown, lived up to the hype. We talk about him all the time, about how he pretty much runs the wheels off of whatever he gets on. And here he comes down the hill and into turn number 6 for the final time for this one.
Yeah, no pressure behind as his lead really has ballooned on these laps, about an 8-second lead, so he's about a second a lap quicker. So we see Nickel down our back straightaway, setting up for turn 10. He'll get ready after a couple of left-hand and 11. He'll go up the hill and set up the blind corner, but just a few more turns this morning for Ryden Nickel, the driver out of Houston, Georgia.
You can tell you're a native because you know how to pronounce Houston.
It's taken some practice. It really has.
I had actually when back in the day, grade school football, he had a teammate named Hush.
Well, you see on screen now, heading down the front straightaway, your winner of race number 1 on our Radicals, Ryden Nickel, takes the checkered flag, and then it is a comfortable gap back. Here comes the number 79. Kevin Clifford comes home second with Barry Davidson just 2 seconds back. So that's our podium for round number 1.
Display of dominance again by Raiden Nickel, but a little bit of misfortune by Chris Hune. We will find out shortly how that shakes out in race number 2.
Now on screen, race fans, you watching, you can see a lot of the tents that are set up down there from our drone cam. Those are just part of the activities that will be happening later this afternoon. A 10th anniversary celebration here at Atlanta Motorsports Park. I don't know what kind of food they're going to have, live music or a DJ, I believe, this time, as well as driving activities. Members will be able to race on the track. We'll have drag races at some point, autocross, some sort of water autocross, drifting, all kinds of activities to commemorate 10 years at Atlanta Motorsports Park.
Special guests as well coming.
So if you want more information about Atlanta Motorsports Park, check out our website, atlantamotorsportspark.com. You can get information on activities here as well as membership, including the condos. You can also check out the schedule for the karting track, where they're doing sort of some member driving now, but at some point they allow for that arrive and drive. Great way to do, to me, Bill, that would be some fun team building. That would be a great bachelorette party. Young or old, I imagine for arrive and drive you have to be a certain age, but, you know, I'd love to say 3 to 103, but I don't quite think you can be that young to drive on the cars. But up to 55 miles an hour, you get that sensation of speed 1 inch off the ground.
Absolutely. It's definitely worth it. I've done it. Of course, William comes out. That's why he's here. He loved coming to the kart track here. And when he found out there was an opportunity to work here, he jumped on that. He's enjoyed that very much. So he not only works here, he believes in the place, and that's important to have that spirit in you. But yeah, come on out and give it a try sometime. Look it up on the website and see what this. I think you do need to reserve. Generally, on busy summer weekends.
It's best to reserve. Yeah. Now on screen, we do see our top 2 have pulled into the pits. Ryden Nichols climbed out of his automobile, as has William Layton. Excuse me, Kevin Clifford. So we'll see what kind of adjustments they can make as the rest of the pit crews just flag cars in. I'm excited for what the afternoon's going to bring. What type of be interesting to hear his stories of what happened and then see how he's able to recover in the second race.
Of course, track conditions will change as we get hotter and hotter here, too, so that may have some effect, 1, on how the track performs, and 2, how the cars are adjusted to account for that as well.
85 degrees is the current temperature, and under mostly clear skies, we're just going to see that increase to about 90 degrees today. So much for the mountains being cooler.
No, I don't think you want to be back home.
Yeah.
Much better up here from a temperature standpoint, even if it is 90, at least it's in double digits. Next week's going to be fun, from what I understand, too. But,
yeah, well, next week you want to be down in that swimming pool that you can see on screen. And that's not just, I mean, that's a really nice swimming pool, hot tub. You can see the putting green next to it, the basketball facility. So a full range of amenities. There's even a water slide tucked in there, I believe, for the kiddos. So really some nice.
Just the kids?
Well, kids at heart as well.
There you go.
And inside the building, they have an excellent workout facility. I'd say we should probably go bang out a workout at our lunch break. But I'm going to go. I'm going to go save for lunchtime here.
Some people have 6-pack abs. I have a keg. So there we go.
And there you can see as well the garage areas that are here for members. A lot of people drive their normal driver here and then open up the garage and roll out the car that they will use on track or for special events.
I can see my car from here. All right. This webcast has come a long way in the last couple of years as well, or in 10 years if you want to look at it that way, from the technology that William's been able to get implemented here to make this webcast more and more enjoyable with all the different camera angles and the drone and the pole cam. And
I think we should tell the story of pole cam, how that came to be. That pole cam is that great static shot we have of turn number 1 where the cars are dropping into it, and we have a drone cam here. Well, pole cam used to be a drone.
Kind of a grounded drone.
Yeah, and apparently one of the pilots that we'll just say shall remain nameless. It wasn't me, it wasn't you, but we're not going to shame the person publicly here. But the drone got a little too close and clipped off some of the propellers on it. So it wouldn't fly, but they had a perfectly good camera and broadcast and wireless capability, so they just tape it to a pole and use that for the continued coverage here, expanding their coverage. So
it's kind of like Mike Mulligan's steam shovel. I don't know if you remember that book.
So here we are seeing some replays from earlier today. That would be our top three: Garcia, Muhammad, and then Matt White, the third car. You can really see that drive White had up through turn 2, but then, Bill, you were right. When the track flicks to the other side for turn 3, Muhammad was just able to hold on to that position.
You can see that smoke from Muhammad going. He had that 3 different times going into turn number 6, and the third time it cost him the position, as he couldn't quite get it woed down in a controlled enough manner that allowed White to get by him.
Yeah, there you can see some of that close competition earlier. White trying to draw alongside. And this is the pole cam we're talking about. You can really see how much drivers drop down into that camera. One of the views that really captures the topography changes here at Atlanta Motorsports Park. I'm hoping we get pole cam of when Chris Hune had his incidents, which seemed so random down into turn 1. So this is some of our highlights from our Radicals division. And that was on the initial start. You can see that side-by-side battle for second when Hune had the lead. Braden Nickel got up to the inside of that 79 of Kevin Clifford.
And here they come through the carousel, and you see that side-by-side action for second place there.
And that's a tough place to be side-by-side in that carousel. You want to be single file. Pretty much all the way around this track you want to be single file, but that carousel is a tough place to be side-by-side. So there we see, you know, them. You can see that part with the curbs there on the bottom where the drivers can't stray out all 4 wheels into that curbing. As we've described, it's a warm day here just outside of Dawsonville. It is a windy day when you see a U.S. flag just about stretched out fully. I would say it's breezy. I'll take it just because it's so warm.
A much appreciated breeze, but looking by the direction of the flag, at least looking at the one on the water tower, that would give them a boost coming down the main straightaway here, the fastest part of the track, with a little tailwind, make it just that much faster.
So here we're seeing on the replay is one of the times that Muhammad locked up those brakes. You could see the blue Miata sweep wide because of that. I don't know if that was the first or second time. I don't think it was the third. Now here we see him go in, and you see him lock him up late and sweep wide. That was the third time.
That was the one that cost him.
Yeah, and Matt White sees the opportunity, snuck up the inside of turn 6, and then he set off after leader Jose Garcia. You can really see it. Almost looks like it's the rear tire. It will typically be the front tire on these Miatas that would lock up under braking.
And White wasted no time taking advantage of that. He saw it coming. He had a couple of prior entries into turn 6 to see that Muhammad was in trouble. And then he was waiting for that opportune moment. And that was, I think, with 2 laps to go. Because the next time around they got the white flag, and that was it.
Well, off on the left of that screen, you can see one of our staff here. There's a camera operator over there, and on Hill Cam, that's Ethan Denney this afternoon. I imagine, hopefully, Ethan, you're out there able to maintain some level of shade or at least hydration here on this summer afternoon.
I saw him with the sunscreen in his hand, so I think he was at least prepared there, but at least put on a hat.
You might need a sombrero for the amount of sun that we get here. But in this, you can't wear one in this level of wind. But
you got to have the chin strap on it and the whole bit. And he's getting things adjusted out there.
So that was it's round 3. This was the first races that we have today. As we get into the afternoon hours, the Miatas will be back on track. And then we'll have the downforce race number 2. We'll finish it all up this afternoon with a podium awards presentation. We'll do that right down trackside. And so if you're watching online right now, if you're live, and if you're a member here, please, please, please do not miss what's going to happen this afternoon and evening. It's more than just a social. They have those about once a month, but from 4 o'clock on till past 10 o'clock, they're going to have a very special social tonight. I've heard there's fireworks included as well, all kinds of food, guest appearances. So it is something that you will want to be here for if you're a member.
All right, and something else that you will want to be here for are the second races in the Spec Miata and the downforce cars, and they'll be coming up after our lunch break. We're going to step aside here for right now, but we encourage you to hang in there. We'll be back around
1:30.
Around 1:30 or so for the resumption of hostilities here at Atlanta Motorsports Park. We appreciate you being here, and we'll see you then.
I was ready. I'm like, we're running out. We're ready. What are we talking about? You know, it's like I was ready for them to go to break. Like, go to commercial. Cut to commercial.
When I lived in Gainesville, I went to the same church as a local radio personality.
Okay.
Worked at the WDUN. And I was talking with him, and he said, I said, the prayer just rolls off your tongue so easily. He says, well, that comes with doing morning drive, is that you just got to have the constant pattern. He says, I have to stop myself from doing a time check in the middle of the prayer.
Okay.
It's 7 past the hour, Lord. But yeah, that, you know, it's just
Our Father, it's 85 degrees here. You know, throwing a temperature check.
All right. That was good. I think we squeezed what excitement we could out of the small field in that Miata race.
I'm interested to hear from, well, and then 2 cars,
Yeah.
don't make a lap. So I think we got some drivers we could talk to. Fabiani, was it? Which driver dropped out? I think it was Kring.
Blake was one
Fabiani
of
was one of them, but was the other Kring finished out there? So I think it was Miller that dropped out on the first lap in.
Whereas Nagy came out early too. I remember him coming in.
Yeah, but in the
Oh, sorry,
in the
I'm looking at the
Miata,
wrong ones.
I think
Yeah, sorry.
I think Kring Attention in the paddock. Grid opens in 5 minutes. The grid will open in 5 minutes for the Spec Miata race. Thank you. again? Oh.
5, 3, 2, 1.
Attention in the paddock. Grid is open. Grid is open for Spec Miata. Attention in the paddock. The grid is open for Spec Miata.
Head them up, move them out.
Well, race fans, welcome back to Atlanta Motorsports Park on this hot June afternoon for round 3 of the 2022 Summer Championship Series. I am John Matthews, joined by Bill Rigdon. Bill, the first set of races is out of the way, and we have another pair on tap this afternoon.
Well, all the rehearsal is over. Now it's time to get down to business when it really counts. And we've got 2 really good races shaping up that are coming your way. Very shortly, we'll have the Spec Miatas rolling off in about 15 minutes. And we'll see if they can follow up on the action that we had in the first race earlier today. Now, the track temperatures are up maybe about 7-8 degrees since we started this morning. Will that make a difference? We'll find out.
Well, air temperature is also up. 87 degrees is the current temperature outside. Full sunshine. There's just a few puffy white clouds dotting the North Georgia sky. If you are joining us,
Carousel, I believe these are the downforce cars, the Radicals, a Radical race this morning as well. Now, that was the one where Hune, right? Yeah, Chris Hune started off and dominated, then ran into some trouble. Now, that was Rayden Nickel, I believe, battling with Kevin Clifford back there for that second spot. Now, we should have, there it is right there, Chris Hune, the aforementioned Chris Hune, locked him up, got into the sand, lost a lap, and eventually the race.
yeah, he told me at the break the car wasn't damaged, it just got stuck in the sand, which is what those traps are meant to do. You see that wall behind. We don't want drivers making hard contact into that wall. The sand trap does a good job of slowing the cars, catching the cars in there. But typically once that happened, those cars are not coming out without a tow.
What did he say happened?
He really had just been driving.
One down on the front straightaway here.
Which we call it our front straightaway. It's just about a quarter mile long, and that's it for straight parts, even though it is downhill into turn 1. So they're setting up for really the hardest braking zone on the track.
Brakes will be important, brake management even more so. And we've Muhammad and the issues but he did struggle with 6. Now, are the turns, of course, you know, every turn is different, but they're both very sharp turns. And it was interesting to me that he was struggling with one and not the other.
Turn 6 is a weird turn. Even just driving it in a passenger car at 20 to 30 miles an hour, you think you need to turn, but you have to hold it out there. Hold it, and then make the entry, just because you're downhill into it. And almost at the last minute, the turn kicks up just a little bit. So you really have a strain.
Cars on the track, Rachel Heiler behind the wheel of the electrified DeLorean. She's got that Mr. Fusion cranked up and going. And we are going to get ready to get the Spec Miatas ready and underway for race number 2 this afternoon.
Well, here is the scheduled lineup. Jose Garcia will start on the pole in the 00. The Decatur, Georgia driver was the winner of race number 1, starting alongside Matt White in the 67, Yosef Muhammad 2. Blakely Fabiani will start inside row 3 in the 85, with Bill Miller starting shotgun on the field in that red number 5. Bill, I did have a chance to talk to Matt during the break, and he thinks he has something out there. Thinks he has a fast hot rod. He was caught up in that turn 1, lap 1 incident where Fabiani spun, White, Miller, and I think Bill Kring were all off in some varying levels of not the track. I think we saw 2 in the grass and 1 maybe even just barely into the sand over there. So White thinks if he can keep it on the pavement, and Bill Miller had out and thinks that he is good to go for this 20-minute segment.
20 minutes, the limit on this one, just like the last one. I think we got 12 laps in last time, so you can figure on 12 laps of Spec Miata action here coming up very shortly, as the field should be coming around out of the woods anytime now. They're even as we speak. Here they come.
They're stacked up 2 by 2, although I see Yosef Mohammed. Looks like maybe he is pulling into the pits, some sort of problem for the Alpharetta driver, and that's heartbreaking. So move up Fabiani 1 spot as we see the pace car rolling down pit road. The field is stacked up, entering the front straightaway. Another slow start under Garcia's control. So 5 car underway in race number 2 of our Spec Miata here. And Bill, they are side by side. Garcia on the inside just pulls ahead of Matt White down into turn number 1.
Check it on Muhammad. They looked like his hood wasn't down or something. Just all he did was snap the hood shut. And here goes Muhammad to rejoin the field, but he's going to suffer a substantial time penalty for having to come in the pit.
Yeah, tough break because he's just getting to turn 1 while our leaders are up through the carousel. We see some side-by-side action back in the pack. Looks like Fabiani and Bill Miller working the hard way through the carousel as Jose Garcia is out to about a 12-car length lead down into turn number 6. So we see tight action with that with Matt White, and then actually Fabiani's already up to 3rd, and then we have Bill Miller and Bill Kring. A tight battle for 2nd through 5th. And I imagine Jose Garcia, that's what he wants to see out here's rear view, is battles behind him. That will allow him to extend his lead early in this 20-minute race.
And Yusuf Muhammad, after his troubles, is coming into 6th right now. So he's going to be somewhere around for you when they come back by the start-finish line very shortly.
He would need some kind of caution to be able to get back into this race, and those are rare in road course racing. So we will await for our leaders to come out of the forest, and there we see Jose Garcia. Matt White has chopped into that early lead, so it looks like we're going to have a 2-car battle here for the top spot at the podium. And then behind him, Fabiani, Miller, and Kring, as we see Miller move to the inside of Fabiani. And at least for now, he gets the pass. But here comes Fabiani battling back on the inside as they head up to turn 2. So for just a moment,
the old cross
not over yet as Miller looks like he has just enough drive there side by side into the carousel. Maybe a hint of contact there. So Fabiani holds on to that 3rd spot despite heavy pressure from Bill Miller.
Yeah, Miller had inside position on 3, but inside position on 4 is way more important since it's a much larger radius turn. And here they come through again. Miller looking underneath Fabiani. They're really going at it. Hammer and tong here as they come out of 6 and up and over the hill.
Yeah, you could see Fabiani was on the outside. Miller took a look down to the inside. It didn't work, and that really cost him momentum. But now again, he's up on the inside into turn number 10. So intense 3-car action for 3rd place here. As out front for now, Garcia and White are about 5-car lengths apart, and they're just putting distance between them and the 3rd place battle.
Am I good or what? Muhammad is 33 seconds behind in 6th place behind 5th place, so that's about a 30-second off the lead disadvantage. We'll keep an eye on that as we go along here, but I'm usually not good at judging time. Just ask my wife.
All right, once again,
I'll pat myself on the back for that one anyway.
Well, battle on screen is again that battle for 3rd, but we see our leaders paired up heading down into turn 1. Now we see Fabiani guard to the inside with Miller making a move to the outside. Let's see if he can get it done as we go to our pole cam. Still single file. Fabiani blocking. Now we see Miller battling up along the outside. So again, Miller gets a good drive off turn number 1, and now he is secured 3rd place. So Bill Miller was able to get by Fabiani, and now Kring is going to look for a way to get around the youngster from coming.
Blake looking a little bit further inside than Miller coming out of the carousel. Nothing doing there, but looking up front, I think Matt White was right. He may have something there because he's not letting Jose Garcia get out of his sights.
Yeah, he said he had a fast car, but we have to wonder, was Jose giving it everything he had in the first race, or was he playing a little bit of poker, maybe saving the car for this race? So you hill into turn 2. Fabiani definitely under heavy pressure, must be a little bit of damage to that Miata. as we see an overhead view of our entire carousel. The leader's just exiting, and now we see Fabiani going wide through the carousel. We'll have to see how that impacts his exit speed up front.
John, you were saying Fabiani may have an alignment issue as well, and that looks like it's beginning to show as he's not able to hold on to his position, although he's still up in front of Kring, but that.
So still in the early half of our second race here, round number 3 of the Summer Championship Series. We see our leaders snaking off turn number 12. They'll head into the forest section of the course as 3rd, 4th, and 5th are joining them. So now we will await for Garcia and White to exit that long sweeping left-hander number 14. You have to wonder, is White just hoping to apply enough pressure to get Garcia to make a mistake, because they're still just about 2 car lengths separated as they come up through 16. They're ready to click another lap off down the fastest portion of the speedway.
White looking to position himself for a move. He went to the outside, now looks to the inside as they brake hard to go into 1. I don't know if White was just trying to set him up or if he saw something.
Can you try that other microphone for me?
But it seems to me that White has a little bit of an advantage on the backside of the course because he's a lot closer coming out of 16 than he is when he comes out of turn number 1. And that may be where Garcia has the advantage.
Yeah, we can see the variety of lines through that carousel. Some drivers letting the car sweep out wide right through the middle, as now into turn 6, that heavy braking area. Garcia about a half a car width up off the curbs. White a little bit lower. But on the exit, Garcia still holding a 2 to maybe 3 car length lead.
Blake Fabiani watch, it looks like he's opened up more of an advantage over Kring now. It was 7.6 seconds at the line, so Kring was challenging before, but either Kring had issues or Fabiani found something, but he's able to secure 4th place pretty well for the moment anyhow, as we are 7, almost 8 minutes into this one, 12 to go.
Look at that beautiful backdrop here outside of Dawsonville. Those are the North Georgia mountains, the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains. It is a hot day, not that mountain coolness. Bill, every driver I talked to in this Miata class, when I mentioned a cool box, they just were like nodding their head. Oh yeah, we have a cool box, because it is hot out there, so they have some sort of ice pumping. As we see Garcia maintaining that slim lead over White down into turn 1. White takes a little peek to the inside, maybe to let Garcia just know that, hey, I'm here. You know, try to get him to flinch a little bit. But for now, Garcia is able to hold on to the top position as we were briefly on our pole cam there, seeing 3rd, 4th, and 5th come through. So through the carousel one more time. Again, we see the drivers pinch down sort of in the first corner, sweep out wide, and then get tight down onto the curbs again.
Matt White chopped that lead down just a little bit last time by at .32, 32 100ths of a second. So he's closing in a little bit, or at least the last couple of laps he has. It's kind of fluctuated between 4/10 and 3/10. And it's just a matter of who can hit those turns right. But it looks to me that White has more speed on the part of the course we can't see from here, rather. And then when they come out of turn number 1, then Garcia is able to pull him a little bit. The net of that we'll see. And it's also the other issues. If he can close in on him, can he get around him?
So there on screen we see at the bottom, that's our ice hill and our slick pad that's going to be set up this afternoon for watercross. Imagine a cone course set up to see who can drive fastest through an autocross track, except it will be doused with water. Super slick. It's going to be a fun thing for the members this afternoon. But on track, it is dry, and Jose Garcia again holds a slim lead. At this time to the inside, we see Matt White take a quick peek to the outside, to the inside, doesn't work, and he just sets up back to the outside for that corner. So once again, we see Matt White applying pressure down the front straightaway to Jose Garcia.
Well, we see what he's got in mind. He chopped off another 4/10 on that when it was .27 is the margin now. between first and second.
He really does get a good drive through 14 and up through the 15-16 complex. But now we see Garcia's open up maybe 5 to 6 car lengths into the braking area in turn 6.
And that's probably the price White paid for that attempt or that look as they went into turn number 1, because he was thinking about outbraking him and getting him on the inside. Then suddenly, realizing the futility of that, got back to the outside and took the turn in the normal line.
So we are just past 10 minutes here, half down, about half to go in our 20-minute segment. The pressure is ratcheting up each lap as, again, we see Garcia call it a 6-car length lead. Let's see what happens when they come out of the woods, if he's able to maintain that lead. And maybe you have to wonder, has Miller used up his car? Or
there's Muhammad with the brakes again going into 6, having trouble locking it up.
maybe a little wide there. You can see White, again, about a half car closer to the curbs. Not to be lost in this, 7 seconds back. Bill Miller putting in a strong performance in 3rd place in that number 5. So a good recovery for him, as well as Fabiani, who they didn't even get 1 lap in the earlier race today before damage forced both of them to retire.
Well, if we hold true to the timing from the first race, we probably have less than 3 laps to go here. We're on lap number 10, and so there'll be the remainder of this one and probably a couple more. I don't want to do the time math in my head right now, but I'm just thinking about the last race going 12. So if this is going to be a 12-lap race.
When us announcers start doing math on the fly, we're going to get into the verbal guardrails at that point. As we see our leaders charge around turn 14, Garcia seems like he's maintaining about that 6-car length lead, so White didn't really chomp into it that lap around. Let's look at timing and scoring. Well, 0.52 seconds, so about 2/10 off that time. We can see the drivers hard on the brakes down into turn 1. A very Masters-like view from the pole cam there briefly, as you see some of the branches sort of in the breeze there. It is a windy day, Bill. You had mentioned at one point maybe drivers catching a tailwind down the front straightaway, making that the speeds higher and making that braking even more intense.
I think you could call turn 1 Amen Corner, actually, with some of the action that we've seen there. Well, as close as White was getting, he looks like he's lost a little bit of ground to Garcia in that last little stretch there between 1 and 6. What, maybe 10 car lengths back now to Matt White.
Yeah, they were 0.52 seconds the last lap around. Yep. As we see further back in the field, I can see Fabiani fishtailing off the exit of turn number 6. So it is once again a hot day here. We talk about it a lot, but as these laps stack up on the tires get hot, they get greasy, and just like Days of Thunder, they're going to get slick out there, Bill. So we have to get a Days of Thunder reference in at some point in the broadcast.
Okay, so we've covered Days of Thunder. We've gotten
Back to the Future.
Back to the Future. I think I threw in a oh gosh, I had another one I threw in there, just snuck in. It might have been a Kentucky Fried Movie reference. Who knows? I'll do that occasionally.
Well, one we won't be able to quite get to is right now, Matt White is not too close from missiles switching to guns. We need a Top Gun reference, as this time by Garcia's back out to 1.3 seconds. So somewhere on that lap, Matt White lost about 0.7 of a second. And, Bill, that happens so easy on a road course. You're gaining maybe 0.05, maybe a tenth. And then you take one bad corner and you're losing half a second up to a full second.
And it could be also that Jose Garcia is turning up the wick a little bit as well, seeing that it's late in the race. It's time for him to put some distance. And he's more like 15 car lengths now as we head into turn number 6. Not nipping that apex, taking it a little bit wide, a little bit more conservatively, but definitely hanging on to what looks to be a really good advantage now. Of course, like you say, things can happen, and it looks like with 2.5 minutes to go here, we're going to get an extra lap out of this one, because we're on 11, or we're on number 12 now. We've completed 11.
Yeah, we might
so
just
we can
get
put in a baker's dozen of laps this time.
Call it a bonus lap again as the drivers lead their way through turn 12. You can see that Garcia's maintaining about that 1.3 second lead, and then it is about 10 seconds back to Bill Miller, who is running in 3rd place. So Miller will probably be happy with that 3rd place finish. I have a feeling up front Matt White might not be satisfied with first, but Jose Garcia is slowly slipping out of his grasp off the front of this field. As we see him, Garcia charge down, and we have a yellow flag in the air as we have a car off in turn one. I believe that is.
It's going to be Muhammad, right?
No, it's not. I think that's could be Fabiani's car. If it's not Fabiani, it's Bill Kring. It's Bill Kring's car.
Kring,
He's the only car not accounted for. So we're late in this race, 18-plus minutes in with the yellow flag coming out. Bill, that was not the flag we expected to see this time around as the pace car, the DeLorean, is back out to shepherd the field around. It'd be interesting to see what happened to Kring. Now, here's something, Bill. Earlier we were talking about Muhammad needing a caution. Well,
there it is.
This might have been his opportunity. We'll have to see, will they get this race back underway as we're already coming up to 19 minutes.
We're definitely going to go past the 20-minute mark under yellow as the field forms behind the DeLorean pace car, the electrified DeLorean pace car, piloted by Rachel Heiler.
There we do see that DeLorean Ampere EV put together that vehicle. I heard it on the autocross track at our break time, and if you're used to hearing a car with an engine, you hear those RPMs.
Yeah.
And to hear an electric car, that you're not hearing the engine sounds, but you hear the tires and you hear a motor whining, and it actually pairs so well with the image you think of a car from Back to the Future. It has that sci-fi feel to it. It's not so much as the engine's revving up. It's almost like the warp drive is starting to get going here, as you know, in a very space age way. So that looked like a lot of fun for one of the people that was driving that car and testing it on the autocross track.
That was quite a project. It's a good idea to pick an iconic car. And
okay. Well, attention in the paddock. The grid is open for Radicals. Attention in the paddock. Radicals. The grid is open for the Radicals.
I mean, for the distinctive history of the DeLorean, it's quite the it's a noticeable car. So to electrify something like that is, I think, a really great PR stroke.
Well, and it's that stainless steel body, which is the trademark of a DeLorean,
Right.
other than the shape. And to see it up close, Bill, I'm not kidding. It looks like a refrigerator. It looks like a, because that's what it is. It's just a stainless steel, just such a sharp look on that DeLorean
But
pace
you
car.
can't put your kids' artwork up on it with magnets. There's always that. So.
So we see our top five all queued up behind that DeLorean pace car. Let's see what flag we're going to get this time, because the car of Bill Kring was able to get out of the sand trap. I see him rolling down into turn 6. The right side of the car, I guess it looks okay, maybe a little bit on the right rear, but for the most part, maybe he just got too aggressive and lost it going off into the sand trap. That's already happened today.
It's been kind of a tough day going into one. You don't, as tough as that turn is, we still don't see that happen all that frequently, especially unforced like that. So it's been a tough day for braking and velocity and hanging that big left turn going into turn number 1.
So the pace car is pulling ahead of the field, and they've pulled in the caution flag, so we might get a restart this time by. Guys, what are we doing?
We're getting the word right now. We're going to have one more lap. When they come by, we'll have one green flag lap to settle this one. That'll be good. This is going to be a great battle.
Our race director, Peter Litzenberger, just decreed that this time around they'll get the green and white together, and then a one-lap, 1.83-mile shootout. Bill, I have the feeling this is not what Garcia wanted. He probably had White on the ropes, a lead of just over a second, and it didn't seem like White had anything. Now maybe he's cooled the brakes, he's cooled the tires, and White should have one more good shot, passing chance into turn 1, as well as a passing zone down into turn number 6.
And how eager will they be at those 2 points? This should be fun to see. One for one, but turn 6 has also been a bit of trouble for some as well.
So our starter, Brent Landry, right now just has all the flags out. He's got the white, he's got the green out.
Bill Kring's pulling it in, though, taking that big right turn out of pit lane. So he is done for this race and for the day. So we're down to our 5 finishers. They'll be coming around directly. Rachel Heiler will bring that electrified DeLorean onto pit road. We'll be back underway very shortly.
Well, here's recapping your top 5. Jose Garcia in the 00 has led from the get-go. Second place, Matt White in the 67 has pressured at times but has not been able to draw alongside. Third place, Bill Miller is in the red number 5. Blakely Fabiani in the 85 is in another silver Miata. And then Yosef Muhammad is in 5th place. He is in the number 4, the blue Miata. So let's see what Muhammad can do. He has a 1-lap shootout as well. Let's see if he's able to gain a couple more spots and try to get back on the podium. So the entire podium is up for grabs here.
That is true.
As Garcia leads the field slowly past the pit exit and up through turn number 16. He's been doing slow restarts. Let's see at what point he gets on the gas. They creep down the straightaway, creeping along, and now I hear him wind it up. White and green flags in the air, 1 lap to go as we see Bill Miller move to the inside of Matt White. We're going to see 3 wide. Fabiani's right behind Miller, and Miller, for the moment, gets by Matt White. And here comes Fabiani. They're going to try 3 wide up that straightaway. Intense action on the last lap here.
White was the loser in that one as he lost the position, almost lost 2 positions as Fabiani was underneath him, but he's going to settle in at 3rd. But Fabiani looking to the outside of the carousel, now back to the inside as they come out of that big sweeping turn number 4. And there goes Blake Fabiani into 3rd place.
So Fabiani's trying to get on the podium. Jose Garcia says thank you very much and tries to check out on this field. Heavy braking in turn 6. It's Garcia, then Miller, Fabiani, and White, with Muhammad trailing this. So 2 spots lost for Matt White. He's the one that didn't want to see that restart. He was going from thinking about the win to now he's off the podium as we see Garcia clear by about 10 car lengths. Then it's 2 car lengths back to Fabiani, who suddenly rejuvenated here, applying pressure to Bill Miller for 2nd.
As they head up the hill, looking to the outside is Fabiani on Miller. They'll disappear into the forest. For a moment, we'll see them reemerge and get this one settled out very shortly.
Yeah, so intense action through the forest. I think the one consistent in the Miatas today has been that 00. So we anticipate we'll see Jose Garcia sweep around. There he is. About a 10-car length lead. Jose Garcia comes off. Sweet 16. He looks out ahead and sees the double checkers from Brent Landry. Jose Garcia wins the round 3 Spec Miata. Bill Miller 2nd, Blake Fabiani 3rd, Matt White in 4th, with Yosef Muhammad completing the field.
All right, and radical drivers, downforce drivers, it is time to grid. On the grid, drivers. Gentlemen, please, let's get on the grid.
All right, I'll go down for interviews. Is the sound on outside?
I can't hear it from in here. Is it back on?
Yeah, it's back on.
Okay, at some point,
wireless-
just send it down to me. We'll do the best we can.
The wireless downstairs ran out of batteries.
Okay. I don't have
So a
camera.
great run there with an unexpected finish, really.
I don't have a camera
Especially
for
a
the interview.
great performance by Blake Fabiani picking up that spot. Unfortunately for Matt White, losing a couple of positions in an unexpected fashion. So we are done with our Spec Miata races now. We're going to get the radicals on the grid forthwith. The drivers are buckling up and getting in. We will be ready to go very, very soon as we can get them on the grid and see how they stack up and settle it out. If the first race was any indication, this one's going to be a humdinger, especially with some of the drama that occurred, and it's going to put faster drivers in the back for starters, and we will see what happens.
Also, I hate these spam bots. I hate these things.
This is week number 3 of the summer series here at Atlanta Motorsports Park in Dawsonville, Georgia. A beautiful pre-Father's Day afternoon. Temperatures climbing up into the 80s now here in the North Georgia mountains. Again, outside of Dawsonville, Georgia, and we have seen action is hot on the track as the temperature has been in the air here at Atlanta Motorsports Park. And I believe we're getting, John is heading down to see if he can catch somebody to talk to. I see him walking with a microphone and looking for someone to talk to as soon as the drivers come in. I'm seeing Garcia pulling up along with Miller. And 6 minutes, gentlemen, to we release the grid. So drivers, please, let's get on the grid and let's get ready to go here for our second downforce feature. And let's see if we can get an interview or two. I see Jose Garcia actually heading toward John Matt. Get a conversation directly.
How low can you get?
Without being able to see the actual drone, I'm hesitant to get below.
Here we go. Let's see if John should be able to hear him. There you go, John.
Well, Bill, I am down here trackside on pit lane with our winner of the Spec Miata race, round number 3, Jose Garcia. He's taking off his safety equipment, but from inside the helmet, I can see that big fancy smile as Jose Garcia was able to hold off the field in our Miata race today. It is a hot one down here, so he pulls off his various equipment. Well, Jose, congratulations. How's it feel to be a victor today at Atlanta Motorsports Park?
It's always awesome to win in this technical track, and I am dedicating this one to, and it sure means a lot to me and him to have started this together.
Now, Jose, when that caution flag came out, what started going through your mind where it seemed like you had a comfortable lead? You get the caution, now what are you thinking?
I saw a few people trying to create a little gap to get a run, so I slowed down a little bit below the pace of the pace car to kind of bundle up the field so nobody had an advantage on anybody, and it seemed to have worked. Then I saw the red car coming on the inside, so I defended a little bit, and the rest was okay.
All right, besides celebrating this win for your friend Richard, who else would you like to thank for helping you get here today?
Here that have provided us with great fun, safe environment.
Winner this afternoon in Spec Miata. Congratulations, Jose. And I imagine you'll be out here for some of the festivities later. You're going to try the autocross or the watercross?
I'll be watching.
Okay, smart choice. All right, I'm going to move my way down the pit lane and hopefully get a word with third place finisher Blake Fabiani, who has had an adventure of adventures today. I see some damage on the left side, probably from the incident on lap 1 of the first race. So Blake, you were out there running, got up to third, fell back to fourth with the late caution. Just sum up your day here as best you can.
It's been a bit of a hectic day. Out on the first lap in turn 1 of race 1, and the car is a handful. This is now straight, so I wasn't able to do any repairs to the car in between races, but she held together good enough, and lucky caution for me, and some space on the inside was good for third.
All right, who would you like to thank for helping you get to the podium this afternoon?
Well, Matt behind me, Chris. I like seeing that Ampere EV DeLorean pace car out there. And really just everyone out here. It's always fun.
All right, now I had asked this about Jose. I imagine you will be doing the autocross later today. Is that correct?
Yeah, everyone will see the DeLorean make an appearance in the autocross. And I'll be doing the other events as well.
Okay, Blake Fabiani comes home third place in today's Miata race. So now I'm going to get one word in with Matt. You were running second. I thought you had something out there for Jose, and then the last caution came out. What happened on that restart?
The tires had gone away. That's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. My second excuse is this is my buddy Mike Pasco's car, and I really didn't want to ding up his car. But then Blake and I got together after the checker flag, and I dinged up his car.
Wait, so you dinged up the car after the race?
Dinged it up anyway, after the race.
All right, now I believe we have to thank you for helping get that DeLorean put together. Is that correct?
Oh, that's true, yeah. Me and Blake and our other partner, Lawson Sumner, the team at Ampere EV, yeah.
Okay, so if people want to say, hey, I want that conversion, an Ampere EV conversion, where could they go to find more information about that?
AmpereEV.com. We're also on Facebook, Instagram, and I think we're having a YouTube channel put together here real soon. So find us there and follow us too, man. We only got like 200 likes. We need a bunch of likes.
All right, so go give a like to EV or Ampere EV, and maybe you can get a DeLorean. If you have a DeLorean, you can get the kit. So 4th place finish from Matt White this afternoon. And with that, I'm going to send it back up topside to my announce partner, Bill Rigdon.
Thank you, John. I know all those DeLorean owners are racing to their computers right now to fire off those emails to Ampere EV to get that done. Good job down there, and a great race from the Spec Miata series. We now have all the downforce cars gridded and ready to go. We should release very shortly, within 30 seconds or so. We should be able to get these cars on the course, and just as I say that, the command goes to release the grid onto the course, and we are getting ready for the second radical feature here at Atlanta Motorsports Park, week number 3 in the summer racing series here at AMP in lovely Dawsonville, Georgia. The temperature is trying its best to get up into the 90s. Let's check the old thermometer on the wall. It says it's 86 right now. So it's warm. It's warm for the North Georgia mountains for sure, and the action is going to get even hotter once we get these cars around as we watch the Ampere EV modified DeLorean with Rachel Heiler behind the wheel coming out of turn number 4, down through that gentle bend that is turn 5, heading to the treacherous turn number 6 on the pace lap for these radicals in their second feature. Be another 20.
Somewhat stacked up 2x2 coming off turn 16. And they will look to Brent Landry for the signal to go. But they're going to get one more. You're getting a green flag, and we're underway. Raiden Nickel on the pole. Chris Hune in that 53 to the inside. So the battle we wanted to see happen, at least it's starting that way here in our radical second race this afternoon.
Well, I'll tell you what, Raiden Nickel was ready to go, hanging on to the back end there, but as they go into the carousel, it may be a 3 or 4 car length advantage for grinding behind them as they went into turn number 2. Let's see who that was that kind of got shuffled back into 5th position.
Looks like Barry Davidson in the 57's running in 3rd. Behind him, the 79, Kevin Clifford. Then the 77 of William Layton is the 5th place driver out there.
I saw Layton, the one getting shuffled up and out.
Is Raiden as good as his reputation has been early in his career?
I would not bet against that, John, but I will say that while Chris was on the track in the first race, he was able to keep his distance from Raiden Nickel, and look at it now. It looks like he's closing it down a little bit, as it's 0.4 of a second advantage as they come to the line to complete the second lap.
Nickel is running an S1 radical. Hune is in an S3 radical. So the S3 radicals, we learned at the break, are running slicks. They should have a little bit better grip than the S1 radicals, which do run grooved tires. We're not talking street tires, but they are a racing groove tire. So a smaller contact patch on a hot, greasy day, that should give somewhat of an advantage to Hune as we really see him close up that gap into turn 6.
Now it's just a matter of seeing how wide Raiden Nickel can make that SR1 as they head over the hill out of turn number 6 and onto the back side of the course.
One of the drivers I talked with at the break mentioned how important it is to cool the brakes on these cars, where you can really start to overheat, and being behind another car can really impact the car. You're not getting that cooling air. We're not talking it's cold outside. It's still a warm day, but cooling compared to the brakes. So maybe Chris Hune running right behind Raiden Nickel could be a detriment to Hune, as you might get a little slipstream, which will make your speed better, but those brakes will not get cooled. Again, as we see lap 2 about to go on the board. Raiden Nickel holding a comfortable lead, but Chris Hune not letting him go, just maintaining striking distance. And then it is a couple seconds back to Barry Davidson with Kevin Clifford and William Layton.
Well, actually,
well, we're missing one car here, yeah. 77 comes around. There's Layton. So a pretty good gap has opened up as the top 2 have paired up, and 3rd and 4th have paired up on the track.
Raiden was able to pick up a couple tenths on that lap on Hune. So it's not just the grooves in your tires, I guess. Or
Well, they also have different engines. The
Sure.
cars are slightly different out there. As we see Hune get a little loose coming off turn 6, juiced up the throttle a little too early, and you could see that car get kind of wide on the back end.
kind of Starsky and Hutched his way through that turn right there. So
That's a good 70s reference there that we have.
that's my wheelhouse.
I would
right
have thought
there.
maybe more of a, he's drifting out there, which the drifting that'll happen later looks awfully
Yep.
fun. There's a Ferrari drift team out there, beautiful looking car setting up for our 10th anniversary. Drifting looks cool. Drifting doesn't mean fast, so when you see a car loose, you're going to be losing some time. So we'll see what happens this time around. How much ground does that one bad exit cost Chris Hune? And here you can see Nickel just slowly drawing away from Hune. That now the gap, it was 0.6 seconds, now it's 1.1, so we gained a half a second, most of it probably off the exit of turn 6.
Now it's up to Chris Hune to work his way back up, but not lose his patience, as he still has the better part of 15 minutes. 16 actually to finish this one. We're at 4.5 going in, so it's going to be 15.5 minutes to go in this second downforce feature. So we will see if Chris Hune has something for Raiden Nickel, or conversely, does Raiden Nickel have enough to hold off Chris Hune?
You can see Hune a little more steady coming off turn 6 that time. Maybe a slight wiggle, but not as bad as the dirt tracking he did the previous lap. Race fans, if you are watching online and you're watching live, we do want to let you know our next race here at Atlanta Motorsports Park will be next Saturday for the karts. The karts will be doing round number 4 of their championship series. All the classes from the kitty kart, the LO206, all the way up to those Apex Predators, the shifter karts, will be in action. I'd say they start about 11 o'clock, a full day of race action. The next round of the Summer Championship Series here on the main track will be Saturday, July 23rd. So about a 5-week break. I'm sure it'll be plenty hot that day, Mr. Rigdon, for the Miatas and the Radicals to lock horns once again.
Absolutely. And going back to the karts, that's just something you've got to see. Race.
Well, and it looked like
Chris Hune is no slouch either.
Hune had a funky apex of turn 6. He was about a groove and a half up off the curbs right through the middle of the corner. So I don't know if he maybe did some over braking coming in, had some problems. So he might have caught the forest. And there, once again, Raiden
Off of Raiden Nickel's advantage this time. It's now 2-3. It's a 10th, but it's something. Now we've got some action going into turn number 6 here, as the leaders are going around a back marker there. That would be Paul Ifildano going a lap down to Raiden Nickel.
Seemed like Nickel caught him at the absolute worst time coming into turn 6. So we'll see if that changes things. Good battle still underway for third. Barry Davidson for now holding off Kevin Clifford. I did get a word with Clifford. I guess you'd call him a professional driver. He enjoys driving these cars. Also does some driving, I believe in Europe. He said a Trans Am, a Ferrari. So a lot of, so to speak. But Clifford is a native. He's from Stockbridge, so just down south of Atlanta. If you're joining us from outside the metro.
Got a spinner in the carousel.
Yeah, one around right in the middle of the carousel. Can't see yet what number that is. They're all white cars, as we mentioned before. 77 car comes around through our vantage point, so that's Will Layton. It might be Nagy that's back there.
Here he comes.
On the front. Let's catch a number coming around. Okay, so that is the 139. That's Andrew Nagy, who went for a spin.
Beats the tire wall, though, I'd imagine.
That's a lot softer to be in the grass than in the tire wall. Out for see right in turn 6, right number now. Barry Davidson in the 57. Behind him is William Layton. They're going to have to get by the lapped car of Iafadano. Let's see how they're able to navigate slower traffic. Sometimes late in these races, how you navigate traffic really matters. So there we see Davidson peek to the inside, and he does get to the inside of Iafadano. Almost does a chop job on the nose, so intense action for third place as they're going to come out of the woods once again down the front straightaway. Raiden Nickel smokes by our vantage point, leading by 2.4 seconds, so his lead is holding steady. We're 12 minutes into our race.
So that Davison-Clifford battle is stabilized, although I'm sure that Clifford's probably plotting his move to take that third position. It's kind of accordioning, acting like an accordion as far as the gap.
Coming down the pit lane, some trouble for our leader. That puts Raiden Nickel out of the race, which moves Chris Hune back to the lead. So drama here at Atlanta Motorsports Park.
Pounding his fist on the dash as he comes in, not happy with this turn of events.
I know, a stunning turn of events. He was leading by over 2.5 seconds. Crews are talking to him, but this looks like the end of his day now, as Nickel looks like he's shut it off and he's taken the steering wheel off. So tough break for the Houston youngster, handing the lead to Chris Hune.
Well, that then makes the battle between Davison and Clifford for second place. And look, just to the inside, there goes Clifford. Made another shot at it, just like we saw the previous lap. Not able to pull it off, however.
Now Clifford just about mowing the grass on the inside of turn 6. They're really squeezing. Now he's tried a couple of shots up into turn 12. Let's see what happens as they head down into the out portion of this track. Up front, Chris Hune now enjoys a 15-second lap. I can look down, even though he has his helmet on, you can see the frustration as Raiden Nickel talks to his father, talks to the crews. Something wrong as some of the mechanics get into the cockpit trying to figure out what happened to that number 93 SR1 machine.
So we should see Davison and Clifford come back by one more time here and see what they can do. Looks like Davison's stretched it out a little bit on the backside of the track as we go into turn number 1. That battle for second. That's Barry Davison in second, Kevin Clifford right behind him, chasing him down. The gap at the line, though, was about 0.8 of a second, 8 to 9/10. So,
just to put things in perspective, Chris Hune just exited turn 6 and headed down the back straightaway. A second and third are in the carousel. So for now, Barry Davidson holding off Clifford. Clifford's used a couple of bonsai charges into turn 6. He's going to draw right to the exhaust port once again, making things exciting here at Atlanta Motorsports Park. You have to think that's going to start to take a toll on the tires and the brakes, these dive bomb charges into 6.
I think you've got to wait till you are closer so that you can at least have position when you get into the turn to make that work at all. Otherwise, you are just scuffing off speed and potentially using up brakes and using up tires.
Well, here on screen we can see the bonnet is off on Raiden Nickel's car. We don't know exactly what the problem is, although they're looking almost under the midsection of that car. Something has gone a car lengths on that number 79 machine.
That's what's been able to keep him at bay, is to be able to have that little bit extra advantage coming out of the carousel leading into 6, so he can't quite pull off the dive.
So about a half a second between second and third, but out front, Chris Hune inherited the lead when Raiden Nickel broke about midway in the race, and now Hune leads by 21 seconds as he sees the white flag from starter Brent Landry. One more lap to go for Chris Hune. What a redemption story this would be after he was leading early today. Spun the car again, and then got a black flag, and then finished a lap down or 2 laps down in the race. So
I guess if you're going to make the mistakes, that's the race to make it in instead of this one.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens with our second place battle. It's tight again, bumper to bumper going in there. Does Kevin Clifford have something for Barry Davison?
Turn 6 would be his next best passing opportunity. Let's see if he just tries to get close into the carousel. Look at that. He gets right in the entrance to the carousel, bumper to bumper if they had bumpers. But now this is where Davidson has been really good off the exit of the carousel. He's able to find the best passing chance for Clifford. So Davidson has fended off the 2 best passing spots on this last lap. Meanwhile, you're not missing anything out in front. Chris Hune continues to lead 20.5 seconds. So we see second and third, they're going to battle up through turn 11 and 12. We've seen some passing attempts up through 12.
Well, Clifford draws in and draws in and draws in, but when it comes to a passing location.
As our leader, Chris Hune, takes the checkered flags here at Atlanta Motorsports Park, winning the Radical Downforce race. He's going to win by about 20 seconds. Our best battle on the track is what we're going to see next, coming out of the woods and that's Davidson and Clifford.
Here they come.
And they come to the checkers. Davidson is able to hold off Kevin Clifford. The gap, just about a half a second. So Davidson from Gainesville, Georgia, you could say did just enough to hold off Kevin Clifford for that second place spot.
Just enough is good enough in this situation. Both, though, end up on the podium after Radon Nichols' misfortune. So let's enjoy that performance. Feel bad for Radon Nichols. He was dominating, pulling away really, and then stabilizing as we finish up this second downforce feature here at Atlanta Motorsports Park. So that's it for our on-track racing. We have the podium events coming up, but let's take a couple minutes here and we'll get John a chance to get down there and talk to a couple of our participants here, especially talk to winner Chris Hune and talk about the day he had. Talk about up and down, having all that misfortune in the first race and then being the beneficiary of Radon Nichols' misfortune in the second one. Let's look at the finishing order here of race number 2 in the Radical Downforce division here. Your winner was Chris Hune. Barry Davidson in second, finishing 22.6 seconds behind. Kevin Clifford comes in third. William Layton was fourth. Andrew Nagy is your fifth place finisher. Paul Ifaldano will come in sixth, and Radon Nichols, 6 laps from the end, ran into some trouble, had to bring her onto pit road. He will finish seventh of the cars that started this second downforce feature.
Well, Bill, I just received words from the pit crew down here for the Primal Driving School. They said Radon Nichols' car, the brakes went away, and it really wasn't anything mechanical. He just drove the car hard. We had talked about saving the car, and apparently he didn't do that. The brakes just went soft, and he pulled it in. So that allowed Chris Hune, once again, what a turnaround for Hune. Struggled in the early race, spun once, almost spun a second time, got black flagged. A turnaround this time as he was able. Congratulations on winning race 2. Tell us your experience of what happened in this 20-minute segment.
Well, it was good fast.
Were you running the same set of tires from race 1 and race 2?
I was.
Okay, so those flat spots really would have, upset the car here in the second race?
It'd take a little bit of performance, yeah.
Well, Chris, who do you want to help or thank for helping you?
Good college buddies dragged me out here. You got to come up here, and been a couple years now, and I'm just hooked. So thank everybody that worked so hard to put the event on, and you guys showing up too. So great.
All right, congratulations once again. Chris Hune, winner of the Radical race in round 3 of the Summer Championship. Bill, I'm going to third place driver, Keith Clifford? Kevin Clifford, sorry. Third place run, really seemed like you were applying a lot of pressure to Barry Davidson. How do you sum up your ride today?
Yeah, Barry did a great job. The SR3's got a little bit more grip, so he was able to keep himself in front of me as long as he could. And it's a lot of fun coming out here and dicing with these guys. Primal did a good job, put on a great car for us and a really good show. And these Radicals are awesome around Atlanta Motorsports Park.
All right, is this your first time being here in a Radical?
No, it is not.
Okay. I was going to say, so when will we see you next in a Radical here at AMP?
Whenever Tyler and the Primal guys will have me out.
All right, so congratulations to Mr. Clifford coming in third place today in our Radical race. And with that, Bill, I think I'm going to send it up topside to you.
All right, thank you very much, John Matthews. We are done with the racing portion of today's programming here at Atlanta Motorsports Park up in Dawsonville, Georgia. Please be sure to stay tuned for the podium ceremonies and all the other fun and frivolity that is going to go on here as Atlanta Motorsports Park celebrates its 10th anniversary today. And we got it off to a good start with 4 good races, the 2 divisions. Excellent races, not without drama, which is always good in a race. And we hope you enjoyed watching them as much as we did calling them. So I'm going to kind of toss it off here for my webcast partner, John Matthews. I'm Bill Rigdon, thanking you for joining us today. And again, stay tuned for the post-race festivities, and we will see you again soon here from Atlanta Motorsports Park in Dawsonville, Georgia. Have a good day, everybody.
So long, everybody.